Hey everyone, welcome to our session at Build. How are you all doing? How many of you have built an agent on Teams? Show of hands. Wow. For those of you that have, you all probably know the number of steps and concepts it takes for you to get there. And for those of you that have not, you're in for a feast. Today, we're going to build an agent from zero to a teammate in under 25 minutes. Right. My name is Umang. I'm a senior product manager on the Teams platform. And joining me is Aamir, who's a senior software engineer on the Teams SDK. And we have a packed agenda for you. We're going to start with a quick recap of the Teams SDK, where we left you guys last year at Build. We're going to introduce a brand new CLI and walk you through a bunch of skills with a working agent. We're then going to talk about how do you build that agent using the skills and the CLI together, walk you through it live, take that agent into a group chat, and finally, transform that agent into a teammate with its own identity. So let's get started. Last year at Build, we brought to you the Teams AI library in TypeScript and C#. This year, we're bringing to you the Teams SDK, which is a consolidation of all the libraries and tools that you use into one streamlined developer experience. Last year, we also brought to you one-on-one agentic features, such as streaming in a chat, feedback loop, follow-up, citations, and even starter prompts. This year, we're bringing to you many more group UX features to make your agent shine within a group. And there's a session we have dedicated tomorrow for all the group UX capabilities that you'll be looking at. We're also integrating with other SDKs inside the Microsoft ecosystem. Over the last year, when we last met you at Build, we've been working with a bunch of partners. We've been working with Cursor, Linear, Perplexity, Datadog, Atlassian. They're all building on the Teams SDK to benefit from 320 million daily active users we have. And in the last year that we've been working with them, we did realize that the path to getting your agent successful on Teams is a long one. You'd have to start with registering your app, getting it credentials, setting an endpoint, uploading a manifest, configuring the environment, and starting the bot. That journey spans across multiple scenarios, multiple concepts, and even multiple surfaces. So we wanted to simplify that. And our goal was for you to get your agent into Teams as quickly as possible. And this relies on three different pillars. Pillar number one, we want you to bring your agent on any stack, any agent onto Teams, whether your agent lives in Foundry, Vercel, Crew AI, or even Replit. We are unopinionated about where your agent lives. We want you to be successful bringing it to Teams as easily as possible. That brings me to pillar two, which is frictionless scaffolding. Developers usually spend a lot of cognitive overhead trying to get the agent onto Teams. We want to minimize that overhead and get you to be successful as quickly as possible in a seamless manner. That brings me to the last point, which is to make your agent a teammate, a true teammate with its own identity that closes the agentic loop. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my teammate, who's going to now start showing you how to build an agent live. And if you want, you can start your timers on.
I don't know how that's going to work out, but hopefully Copilot agrees with me. So I'm going to switch over to my screen here. So here, I'm actually, here I have an agent that I've been building on the side. This is my project management helper. This is just a web application that I've kind of been toying around with. On the left side, you can see it has a bunch of my projects that I'm kind of working on right now. And then in this view, I sort of have a, whoops. Sorry, this is a live demo. So in this view, you have, I have the agent sort of running where I can ask it questions. So I can ask it something like, summarize the status of all my projects. And it's able to give me the statuses of all my projects. Or I can ask it a more targeted question like, how is the conference demo project going? And it can give me the status of a particular project. Now, this is just a web application, but we want to bring this over to Teams. So I'm going to switch over to our terminal here. So like you saw, this is just a web application that's running. So the first thing, like Umang mentioned, is we actually want to register our agent. So for that, I'm going to use the Teams CLI to do that. I'm going to use the Teams app create command. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And I'm going to just give it a name. Let's say project management agent. It asks me for a messaging endpoint URL. I'm just going to skip this for now. Asks me where I want to put my credentials. I'm just going to say the env file. And it asks me for some customizations I might want to do for my agent. I'm just going to skip that for now. And then I'm going to hit create. So like Umang mentioned, this command is doing a bunch of things. It's creating an Entra application. It's creating a bot. It's creating secrets. And then it's gluing all of those pieces together. And at the end of this process, you're given an installation link that you can actually use to install this application into Teams. OK, so here we have the installation link. We have the app that's created. We have the bot ID, et cetera. Now, this is the first part of this journey. But the second part is always the actual integration. We actually want to integrate this into our application. So what this traditionally means is you want to download the Teams SDK packages, go to our docs, understand how our packages work, then start to actually put those pieces together to actually enable that in your existing application. Instead of that, I'm going to use Copilot to do that for me. So I'm going to run Copilot in YOLO mode. Hopefully demo gods agree with me here. All right. So this particular session of Copilot has been scaffolded with the Teams dev agent skill. So I'm just going to give it a very simple prompt. Integrate this application into Microsoft Teams. Once you're done, give me the installation link. All right. So you can see that it already picked up the agent skill, the Teams dev agent skill. Now this skill basically has two things that it actually can do. It can talk to the Teams CLI, that I'm going to talk to you in a minute, and it knows the Teams, it can read the Teams docs. So while it works, I'm going to show you what we've done with the Teams CLI. So the Teams CLI has been, oops, let me make it a little bit smaller so you can see things. The Teams CLI has been built from the ground up for both humans and for agents. For humans, what does this mean? Traditionally with CLIs, you're constructing long commands. You're putting in arguments that you might need to call other CLI commands to get certain IDs or arguments and things like that. When we were designing this CLI, we made sure for humans it was interactable. So you can do something like Teams app. And now you can use your arrow keys to select app, create app. I'm going to go ahead and select. I'm going to select the app we just created, the Project Management Helper app. And here we can get app details, update app, download the package if you want to share it with your colleagues, manage secrets, manage permissions. Most of the things you'd need to actually manage your app, you can do right here. I'm going to go ahead and update the app. And I'm going to update basic information. And let's change the description. Use this to manage your project. Projects. Can't spell, but that's OK. And just like that, we were able to modify our application. Now, for agents, what does this actually mean? When we were designing this app, we employed something called progressive disclosure. So if you do something like Teams-H, the help command, you can see that we have the top-level commands here. We have things like Teams app, which helps you manage your application, Teams project, which helps you create and configure new projects. So basically what happens with, basically instead of the agent getting all the subcommands all at once, with progressive disclosure, we give you the commands progressively depending on the goal that the agent has. So if the agent wants to update the application, and its goal is to update a certain field, it would first do, hey, this is part of managing, so it would do Teams app-h. And then here, it needs to update, so it would do Teams app update-h. And now you're given the full list of flags that you actually need to call this command. Now, why is this actually useful? It makes sure that your agent only fills up its context with things that it actually needs for its particular goal, and not for useless things that it might not actually end up using. Now, secondly, the other thing that we have is something called JSON mode. So let me show you how that works. So let me call Teams app list and get the ID for the application we just created. So here we go. And if I do Teams app get the ID, now this gives us a nice looking output with the details of our application, with a nice installation link and things like that. Now this is great for humans because it makes the output really grokkable and legible, but agents don't really need that. They're perfectly fine with just JSON. So if I do --JSON, you get the same output, but in a nice structured format. Now, that might not seem that useful, but it's actually extremely powerful because you can then use these commands inside more complex scripts that you can actually, that your agents don't have to parse, and they can just use JSON to get values out of. That's all I'm going to show for the CLI. There's a lot more that it has, and I encourage you to try it out. But let's pop over back to our agent, see how it did. Let's see. OK, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can read it a little bit better. Looks like it did a lot of stuff, and it has an endpoint running. It edited our, app, and it finally gave us an installation link. So I'm just going to copy this installation link and pop back. And open Teams on the web. And you're presented with this nice installation modal. I'm going to add. And if everything worked out fine, and Copilot didn't betray me, I'm going to just give it the exact same query as before. Summarize the status of all my projects. All right. Looks like our agent is responding, and the same exact feature that we had in our web application is now in Teams. And if I actually use the same installation link again, open this guy up. I can also introduce this agent in a group chat. So this is my group chat, project discussions group chat. And inside a group chat, I can message this agent and say, what's the status of my conference demo project? And the agent is now available in a group chat. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Umang.
I think that is such an amazing presentation of an agent, a CLI that is agent first. We're in the world of coding agents. And a CLI that is built for coding agents is what we are bringing to you. What you just saw towards the end was Aamir bringing that specific agent into a group chat. And while we do have a talk tomorrow at 11:50 about bringing your agent into group chats and the capability that we're bringing, I'm going to give you a sneak peek today. So if you do bring your agent into a group chat, we're introducing emoji reactions, which means that the agent can respond to you with emojis. We're also bringing to you targeted messages and / commands, which means that your agent can now privately message you in a group chat, and you can also privately message your agent in a group chat and ask all the embarrassing questions that you might have. Next up, we're bringing quoted replies, which is the capability for your agent to be able to quote a message from the past. This is usually important for long-running tasks in group chats, which do have like a fire hose of messages. We're also bringing other capabilities like suggested actions, markdown support, source citations, and a bunch of other capabilities that we brought to you at Build last year. But a lot more on that in the session tomorrow. However, now I'm going to take you to the fun part, which is, so far we saw a project management agent being built into Teams live in front of you. We're going to take that agent and make it into a teammate. What does it mean to be a teammate? So for me, that project management agent would be a teammate when I can say that, OK, this is a project manager for, let's say, a mobile redesign project. This project manager lives across my M365 ecosystem. What that means is that I can send an email to that mobile redesign project manager. I can tag that project manager in a group chat. I can add a Word comment and mention that project manager there, which means that it's a true teammate that's embodying everywhere I live, in Teams and beyond. How do we do that? Much like we have M365 for humans, you must have heard about A365 or Agents 365 for agents. That enables you to take your agent and make it into a teammate, give it an agentic identity, and make it live across the tools and apps where you live. In turn, what IT gets is a lot more visibility, observability, permissions, and control to understand the impact that your agent has. And just like the agent that we saw, you can create that agent that Aamir created can be a great blueprint to create so many project managers and so many of these personas that can be specific for one project. Let's say the mobile redesign project or the backend architecture project. They carry the context throughout the ecosystem of Word, Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, and even Teams. Let's see that live. Let's see that.
Well, this one is actually a demo, a video, just in interest of time. So here, we have the same exact project management agent that you just saw us build with Copilot. But in Teams, now you can actually go and use this project management agent as a blueprint to create more project managers. So here, we're actually creating a project manager for our mobile redesign project. And it has its own identity. So it has its own alias, its own email. And once we create this, because it has its own identity, of course, you can message it directly. So here, we're going to message it one-on-one. So I'm messaging the agent, the mobile redesign project manager one-on-one. And notice I asked it, what's the current status of the project? I didn't mention which project. Now, because this project manager is responsible for a particular project, it knows that that's the only thing in its context. So then it responds with the status of the mobile redesign project. And because it has its own identity, now you're able to also include this particular agent in relevant contexts, like meetings where we're discussing this project, or in group chats. Just like we add users, we can add this agent into this particular group chat. And if we message the agent here, it knows that it's ready to help us with our mobile redesign project. And like Umang said, because these agents have access to the wide range of M365 tools, they also have, and they have their own identity, they can actually send emails from their own accounts. So here I'm asking it to send us an email with the summary of the project. And if we pop over to Outlook, you can see the email actually comes from this mobile redesign project manager. And if I hover over the agent, the contact card, you can see it's actually an AI agent. And this AI agent is, again, powered by the same Copilot, same agent that we built with Copilot just moments ago.
Let me re-echo how awesome this is. What you just saw is within Teams, you were able to ask an agentic teammate to send an email using its own email address to you. With all of this accomplished without you having to leave Teams. So your work starts to really get done in Teams. And with that, we are towards the end. We do have a session tomorrow, which will talk about all the capabilities on group chats and how we're integrating your agents into group ecosystems. But do try out our SDK. Go to ak.ms/teams-sdk Do try the new CLI, our skills, and please stay connected with us. Thank you so much.